Oh my, it's a morning. Yay. Here we are for another day. I will mute you all with a great deal of love. You can unmute yourselves at the end, or if you need to chat with me. Today we have a yoga flow to build some heat because it's been a little chilly around these parts. Get my mat rolled out. We will start in a comfortable seat today. So if you want to put a blanket under your hips, by all means, that is a lovely thing to do. I usually do all of this before I see you so that you don't have to watch the whole process. But unfortunately, my computer decided to be uncooperative this morning. So sitting up, comfortable seat. Ease in the breath. Softness in the body. As always, we start by getting grounded, and then we'll breathe, and then we move. Feeling the sits bones connecting into the earth. Feeling the spine reaching out nice and tall. Slowing the breath down and arriving in this space today. My mantra for this flow is embrace the journey. If you've ever been on a road trip and it didn't quite go as planned, whether you got lost or a flight was canceled or something, some life happened and your plans were sort of put aside, I'd be willing to bet if you let go of your idea of what that trip was supposed to be and embrace the journey you were on, you found a lot more joy in the process. You let go of the illusion of control. We don't have control. We just don't. We have influence, though. And we can influence, that internal influence can make such a big difference in how we approach the things that life hands us. So today I'm going to embrace the journey on my mat. I'm going to make it an adventure. My trusty yoga sidekick here, Mimosa. All right. Move the neck a little, or maybe you need to move shoulders, or maybe it's rib cage. Just a little easy upper body movement here. Exploring through your own space. What feels maybe a little tight. Just a simple movement. You get to choose what that looks like today. I've got a little focus happening into my back, making sure my hips are feeling okay. And then the head comes up over the heart and the heart over the hips. And we're lifting the rib cage up, and we're lifting the collarbones up and wide, and we're lifting the skull up. So that we're just pulling the spine as long as we are able to. And then the fingertips are going to come up on the sides of the mat. Maybe like that. Inhale, reach those hands up overhead. Exhale, close your fists and cactus the arms. Inhale, reach up. If this bothers your shoulders, cactus the arms, then don't reach as high. You might reach a little bit forward, you might reach a little out, and then come into cactus arms. Because this, lifting up, exhale into cactus, can really activate the shoulder muscles. So move in a way that honors your body today. We inhale, lift. We exhale. Squeeze those fists. Feel the heartbeat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus. 2 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus, and hold. Breathe. Release the fingers, give them a little wiggle. Release the hands all the way down. Take your time, float them. Notice that when we bring the hands up over the head, we increase our circulation, which gives us a nice sense of heat. We shift into tabletop for cat-cow. So I'm removing my blanket, keeping it handy for later. Setting up mindfully, right? The joints are stacked, the fingers are wide. The muscles of the front body are lifting up. I say muscles of the front body and not core because I don't just mean the muscles in and around your belly. There are muscles from your collarbone all the way down to the bottom of your spine on the front side of your body. I want you to actively engage all of those so that you're strong here in the tabletop. 3 cows and cats. Drop the belly, lift the head, heart, and hips. And exhale, roll through the spine, chin to chest. 2 more. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. Coming back into neutral. Take the toes together, the knees extend, slide the hips back, reach the hands forward. 3 breaths here in child's pose. And this is a child's pose with some curiosity, I hope, where you're exploring how your body feels breathing in this shape. You might wiggle the fingers here a little more. We don't have there's a little wrist work in here today, so make sure that your wrists are feeling awake if that's an area that tends to be tight on your body normally. And then we'll rise back up into tabletop, reset the knees. Start to play with the direction your fingers are pointing. And we're going to circle through the wrists here. So my fingers are turned out to the sides. I call this a hands dance. It's kind of fun. So you can shift them anytime you want. Turn them forwards, turn them backwards, turn them in. Do one hand at a time or do both. Just start to shift the orientation of your fingers and circle through. So you're circling with the hips as well. And at some point, maybe even turn one palm or both to face up. We want to make sure our wrists are nice and warm here. Warning, when you turn your palm to face up, I do one at a time because it does put a little stress and weight into the wrist. I have one palm down, one palm up, and the palm facing up. Open and close the fingers like gorilla hands. And then switch gently, reset, try the other side, palm up. And if it's too much pressure, just pull the hips back away a little bit so that you have a little less weight sitting in that wrist. Just a couple more little grips here. What's happening with your core muscles and the muscles in the front body? Are they still awake? Release all 4s. Pause for a breath. Observe. How are those wrists doing? And then we'll tuck the toes. And we'll hover the knees for a moment. Feel the core start to turn on. And we'll slide the hips up and back. Downward facing dog and pedal out of that dog. Taking easy movement. Remembering nod the head yes and no. Maybe shifting into some side body stretches. Take your time here, not in a hurry. Play with the hips. Remembering our cow and our cat. You can kind of play with that, tucking the tailbone, pushing it back up to explore the low back. And then let the heels just settle as low as they want to go. Really do pull down the core muscles in your belly and the obliques up and in to support the low back here. And then we'll soften those knees and walk out to the top of the mat. And forward fold. Keeping a nice bend in the knees here. If the hamstrings are not awake yet, which unless you've been up and moving for a while, they're not. Hamstrings actually take a while to get warm in the body. They're a fairly big muscle. And then if you need to get into that low back, you want to keep that bend in the knees so you can really breathe wide across that low back space between from the center of the spine all the way out into the sides. Allow that to breathe and expand. And then we'll walk our fingertips up to our shins. Core muscles, belly, pull in and up to support the body in a halfway lift. Lengthen the spine. Tailbone is pushing back. Crown of the head is stretching forward. And then we'll soften the knees and roll it all the way up. Shoulders come up and back and down. And we'll take a deep breath up. Look to the thumbs and cactus the arms. 2 more just like that. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, cactus, make a fist, hold it right here. Tuck the tailbone, protecting your low back. Feel the feet grounded into the earth. If embrace the journey does not serve you today, then find your own intention. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw the hands into the heart. And feel the energy moving in the palms of your hands and forearms. Welcome in that heat. Inhale, take a deep breath up. Exhale, cactus the arms, just one time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, interlace the hands behind you, find chair pose. Now for chair pose, I like my feet together, really together. I like to squeeze physically right into the midline of the body. If you like a more supported chair with your feet more like 6 inches apart, that's fine. Keep the hands on the hips if the shoulders are tight. You can try pressing the palms of the hands together. Press the palms of the hands together if you want to get deeper into the stretch. And then you have the option of lifting the hands away from the low back, either with the palms together or with the wrists squared off. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sink just a little bit deeper. Release, breathe all the way up. And then exhale, hands into the heart. Adding on, inhale, deep breath up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, interlace and find your chair pose. Now, if you want a little challenge here, you might try lifting the left foot back behind you in a half chair, half warrior 3 combo. That's only if your balance is spot on today, which clearly mine is not. Everybody step the left foot back, hips are forward, reach the hands up, and then release them. Circle the shoulders, shake them out, give yourself a little hug. Low body is in warrior 1, maybe some arm circles here. Loosen those shoulders up, and then we'll reach the hands up overhead. Warrior 1. Pushing into the pinky toe of the back foot, keeping the belly engaged. And then we'll lift the back heel, Pivot that back foot forward, high lunge. Option to take a twist here. Easiest twist is to put the right hand behind your back and the left hand around to the right side of the waist. So you're wrapping your hands around your body, a little bit of a hug, and then look over the right shoulder. You can also extend both arms out. You can always take prayer hands, left elbow outside, right knee. That is the deepest of the twists. And you don't have to take one. The twist is optional. Pivot open, warrior two. Release where you are. Just for a heartbeat here. And then the right elbow comes down for side angle. This left hand, you know, stays at the hip, where it can reach all the way up and over, bicep to ear. Tuck that right hip under, pull left shoulder back. Press back up, warrior two. And then the back toe is just going to heel toe in, keeping that front knee soft. Just closing the gap a little bit and step it up to the top of the mat. Take a deep breath up. Draw the hands into the heart. Adding on. My feet are coming all the way together now because I like my chair that way. So set your feet for your chair pose. Inhale, deep breath up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Fists here. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, interlace. Maybe the opposite thumb is on top. Chair pose. Again, options. Hands stay low, hands lift. Maybe you slide the right leg back. You're keeping the bend in the front knee here. You're not straightening it for like a full warrior three. So you're still keeping that chair component. Or maybe you keep both feet down, both work. Release the hands, step the right foot back. Find your balance. Settle the shoulders down away from the ears. Reach both hands up, warrior one. Really get mindful here. Find that foot connection into the earth. Pushing into the pinky toe of the right foot. Keeping that left knee over left ankle. And then we're going to lift the back heel up, high lunge. And then again, you have the option of taking a twist. Any variation you like. I love this little hug twist. Reach it up. Open it up, warrior two. Side angle. Elbow comes down. Reach it up and over. Being mindful here of the neck. Maybe you look down at the left foot. Maybe you look forward, or maybe you look up. Maybe you bring this bicep in by the ear. So many maybes here. Pull the right shoulder back, push the left elbow down. So we're creating space here in the body, not taking it away by collapsing. Inhale back up, warrior two. And we'll heel toe that back foot in. Close the gap, step it up to the top of the mat, and take a nice deep breath up. Exhale, hands into the heart. Deep breath up. Hands in. One more time, breathe. Draw the hands in. And we're going to add on. Inhale, deep breath up. Exhale, cactus the arms, lift the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, interlace, find your chair pose. If you're flying your foot in a half warrior three, it's the left foot that reaches back. And then everybody sets the left foot back and down, reach it up, warrior one. Inhale and lift the back heel. Option to take a twist here in high lunge. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, open it up, warrior two. Side angle, right arm down. Left arm up and over, or left arm reaches behind, that works too. Now press it back up, warrior two. We're not going to heel toe in this time, so really ground through this front foot. You can relax your arms for a second. Really ground through this front foot. You've got a couple of options. Your first option is to step into a supported eagle variation, The left knee crosses over the right, but you keep the left toes on the earth for balance. You can also take an eagle wrap, or you can take a figure 4 chair, ankle to knee, and then sit back. So whichever option suits your body today, step up and find that. And you can pause here and then take your variation, okay? Whatever option is working. Everybody release chair pose. Take a deep breath up, release the legs. Forward fold, let it go. Separate those feet if you have them together, and take a nice exhale here. Plant the hands, we'll step it back to plank. You can keep the knees up or bring them down. Either way works. And then we're shifting to side plank. So if your knee is down, keep the right knee down, reach the left leg back. We'll lift up to the sky. Everybody's pushing the hips up high, whether your right knee stays down or you pivot and lift both. Plank to downward facing dog. Take a peek seat at the feet. Make sure they're hip width apart here. And we're going to walk our hands back towards those feet. Keep the knees bent. We're going to come all the way down here. Hips on heels. And then drop your knees down to the earth. Keep the toes flexed. I'm going to walk mine in a little. And then if you need to stay forward on fingertips, go ahead. If you want to rise up in hands on thighs or in prayer posture, seated toe stand, nice release for the feet. It is a deep stretch, hang in there. Release the hands back forward, downward facing dog. Pick up one foot and the other. I don't know about you guys, but now I'm warm. We're getting this heat built today. Up on the toes, soften the knees, walk it top of the mat. Forward fold, let it go. Inhale up halfway, strong belly. Exhale, fold. And then inhale up to the sky. You can roll it or fly it up. I'm bringing my feet back together, resetting for the other side, hands in the heart. Embrace the journey, my friends, even if it doesn't go as planned. Inhale, deep breath up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Big fists here, squeeze them. Inhale and lift. Exhale, interlace. Funny feeling, thumb on top. Push down. Sit into your chair pose. Maybe you lift the hands. Maybe you reach the right leg back this time. And then everybody steps the right foot back, right heel down, release the hands, warrior one. Lifting the back heel, pivoting those toes forwards, keeping that nice solid lunge. The hips are low and heavy here. Option to take your twist. You can just hold your high lunge. For the record, if all this hands up is too much in the shoulders, keep your hands in prayer. So if the shoulders are down, but your hands are still engaged. That's a nice option. Inhale, lift open, warrior two. To side angle. Just a breath here. Reaching it back up to warrior two. Here we go. We're stepping it up to the top. Eagle with the toes down, eagle wrap, or figure four chair. Yogi's choice. Step it up, tap it, and then find the version you like. There's nothing wrong with taking these cross-leg toes on the earth. Nice supportive. There's still balance here, guys. If you're still working, pull that core in. Take what works well for your body. Sit a little lower. Release the feet. Chair pose. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Step it back to plank. Top of your push-up, knees up or knees down. If your knees are on the earth, try maybe lifting your feet. Long line, crown of the head to the knee. And if you're in plank pose, keep all the muscles of the front body lifting. So the booty stays popping just a little bit here. You don't want to see a sag because that's a lot of strain in the low back. Side plank, left hand down, right hand up. I'm showing you the supported version. The left knee stays down. But my hip bones both are still pushing up, looking to make that nice rainbow arc. Back to plank, to downward facing dog. Walk those feet a little bit closer, hip width, or maybe even a little more narrow. Here we go, babies. We're walking it back. Soft knees, heels lifted, hips coming down, and then release the knees to the earth. Take your time, because as soon as your knees start to come down, you're going to feel the stretch kick in to your feet. And then maybe you keep hands on the earth. Maybe you grab a block. Seated toe stand. Smile. You're doing yoga. Woo. Release the fingers to the earth. Release the feet. Wiggle your toes. Circle your ankles. If the surface under you is really hard here, you can just do one at a time. So, or fold your mat over if that works. Now we're going to shift the feet around and come to a comfortable seat with your butt in more or less the middle of the mat. You didn't think we were going to build heat without any core work, did you? I can't actually see your faces from here, so I'm going to assume that you were laughing right along with me, because that's really funny. Couple of options here today. The first option is to move in and out of boat pose. So you can start with a nice support, especially if you have ache in your low back. Which, if that's the case, by the way, I recommend bringing a blanket or something right underneath the backside of your tailbone, because you're going to feel that little pressure if you start to drop back, and it's going to help you stay a little bit more lifted. Start with hands on hamstrings, heart is up high, spine is long. Maybe today you'll just lift one foot and alternate. Maybe you can lift both, sitting high on your sits bones. Right, maybe you've got a version of boat you really love. Maybe you like those peace fingers and the legs straight. Oh, fly your boat, baby. That'll work too. So you're welcome to stay in boat and then release, bring the feet down and rest the upper body. That's your first version. Find your boat pose, hold it for a moment, and then find a little release. Your second option, and this is not for people with tight shoulders. You know who I'm looking at over there. Feet come up, there's your boat pose. When the feet come down, the hands come down, and we'll lift into a reverse tabletop. The hips come down, the feet come up, you're back in boat pose. Boat to forward fold, or boat to reverse table. We've got about a minute here of alternating. And both poses, both ways work. If you're folding, that's perfectly fine. You're being mindful of your back and your shoulders. Find the boat, find your alternative. "30 seconds, my friends." Maybe you're just holding your boat pose. Whoop, whoop. If you haven't built heat yet, then we need to check your furnace. "15 seconds. You got this. 10 seconds. I'm counting you in. Everybody come back to boat pose. 5, 4, it's a little higher. 3, 2, 1. Feet come down. Woo! Feet wide. Feet wider than hips. Upper body comes forward. Drop your head. If you've built some tension in the wrists, go on and circle and move the fingers. Breathe. And then we'll roll it all the way up. Very nice. Finding your way into a comfortable seat. You can take Sukhasana, where the feet are stacked. If you like a half lotus, if you like a full lotus, you can take that too. Half lotus is as lotusy as my body will permit. So I have my left foot folded in first. I'm sitting up nice and tall. Again, that blanket can come under the hips. Fingertips are going to come to the earth. We're going to fold here. Doesn't have to be a deep fold, especially if you're in a half or full lotus. Folding in this shape is very intense. If you are in Sukhasana, that can also be an intense fold. So find your version with the legs, and then start to walk the hands down. Keeping the hands pressing back, because your hips want to roll forward. You want to roll towards your knees. See if you can't push with the arms or the hands to keep the sits bones grounded. And when you've reached the deepest point of your fold, drop the head. And coming back up, taking your time, chin stays tucked in, spine rolls up. Back up tall, seated, pause. And then if you're in a half lotus, you're going to gently lift this foot. I shift my hips back, lift the foot and release. If you're in full lotus, you're going to do the same. You're going to gently, with your hands, release, and then switch. Put the opposite foot in front. So if you're in Sukhasana, the other foot is in front. If you're in full lotus, then you're just going to start with the opposite foot first. If you're in half lotus, you're lifting the other foot up and in. Spine is tall. Sits bones are grounded. Pause in your shape first. And then walk the fingertips in to the earth. And again, these hands or fingertips, wherever you're reaching, if you're here, if you're lifted here, but you feel stretch in your body, then you're doing it perfect. But these hands are pushing the sits bones back, so we don't roll forward into them. And then again, when you find the deepest point of your stretch, and it might be different on this side, let the head hang heavy for a couple of breaths, observing where you're finding sensation in your body. And then plant the hands. Keep the chin tucked, slow and easy. Walk those hands back up and in, coming all the way back up to seated. Nice and tall. Once again, think about lifting the rib cage up away from the hips, lifting and opening the collarbones, lifting the skull up and away as well. As though someone had a hook at the top of your skull and your tailbone, and they were just that little bungee. They're just pulling your spine as long as you can get it. My mom used to say this was, she called this seat meeting the Queen. You ever met the Queen of England? How would you sit, Sarah? I was a notorious sloucher as a kid, just so you know. It's taken me years to build this posture and be more comfortable sitting up tall because I just didn't as a kid. So she used to call it meeting the Queen. All right, shift out of your seat very gently. If you're in Sukhasana, pause there just for a second. We're gonna everybody rock back and bring the feet out forward, wider than the hips. If putting your hands behind you is too much strain in the shoulders, sit up a little bit more forward, or you can lay down for this. We're gonna come back up in a second, so I'm not laying everybody down, but we're gonna just windshield wiper the knees. Really, really slowly, observing what we find in the hips. If your hands are not behind you, you're probably going to be walking forward on your mat every time you twist, and that's fine too. As soon as I get done with this class, I'm going to have to go see if I can find my arc. If you're watching this on the recording, It is really raining here right now, and I love it. I'm a pluviophile. Means I love rain. One more twist over. And then come back up to center. Bring the feet around. Woo, tabletop. You thought we were totally done. Not quite. We got one more stretch, and it's either your favorite or it's your least favorite, and that's okay. We're gonna shift into downward facing dog. If you guessed that we're heading towards pigeon, you guessed correctly. The right foot's gonna lift up and come up behind the right wrist. And I like to keep the right foot tucked under the left hip. Hands are walking back here, you know, behind the front knee. Lift the spine up nice and tall. Shift a little. And then we'll fold down. You got a minute on the side. If staying folded is not for you, come back up anytime. And if a full pigeon here today is not, NOT, not your jam, take it on your back, baby. Cross the right ankle over the left knee and draw the knees in. It's yogi's choice. Yeah, about 20 seconds on the side, and then we're going to switch. And start to make your way into the opposite side. Left foot comes forward, excuse me, or left ankle over knee. You guys are, as usual, the first humans I've spoken to today, other than sort of a vague grumble in the direction of my daughter and her dad because I hadn't had my tea yet. They got a vague grumble that passed as, bye, see you, love you, have a good day. Thirty more seconds on this side. We're starting to slow back down again, but notice where the heat still remains in the body. If you're in face down pigeon, start to walk your way back up, and you're going to make your way through tabletop around to lay down on your back. We're all going to meet up here in our bridge base, hips down, feet down, knees up. Notice what the tailbone naturally does. It doesn't drop. Do you automatically start to tuck it in and engage the core? Find a way to feel neutral here, where you're not really working. And then we're going to windshield wiper. So you might want to walk the feet wide. If you've never done windshield wipers with your feet together, maybe today is the day to explore. Maybe you walk the feet further away from your body. How does that change my shape? Play with it. Just shift something so it's not the exact windshield wiper that you always take, and see what happens. One more, drop it over and come back to center. If you have a block, your first choice here is we're going to take a restorative bridge. You know, it's my jam. If you do not have a prop to put under your hips, no problem. Hands are going to hold the edges of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. Heels are grounding down. The toenails are light here. Tuck the tailbone, will roll up. You can also take this option if you'd rather be active instead of taking a restorative. You're going to pulse the knees open a couple of times, squeezing the glutes a little higher with each pulse. Roll it slowly back down, and then take a windshield wiper side to side. So you'll roll up to bridge, couple of knee pulses. If you're ever wanting to work the outer thighs and the glutes, the outer sides of the glutes a little more, get a resistance band, put it just up over your knees, and then take these little bridge pulses. Pretty fabulous. And then if you want the restorative, For me, it's kind of necessary. It creates beautiful length and space in my low back. I will be putting the block under, but you are more than welcome to take roll up, knee pulses, roll down, and then a windshield wiper each side. And we're here for about 1.5 minutes. So give you plenty of time to work. I have the block under my sacral bone. It's at the bottom of the back, just before you get to your butt. If the block is really uncomfortable, it shifted a little. When you find the sacral bone, it usually feels pretty comfortable for most people, even me. And my sacral bone is actually incredibly sensitive. It has been my entire life. Don't know why, just is. There's your extra information about Sarah for the day. Last minute, roll pulse, roll down, and windshield wipers, or we're holding this lovely supported bridge. And breathing. Don't forget the breathing part. Breathing is not optional in yoga. And when I teach a live class, I always pause when I say that, because eventually somebody gets that that's funny, because breathing's not optional in life either. But we kind of tend to forget. Just saying. About 20 more seconds, so maybe get one more round of lift and pulse. And then if you're not using a prop, you're going to come back to your bridge base. If you have a prop, you're going to turn it to its lower setting. If it has one, like my block, I turn it down one. We're all going to bring the feet up towards the sky. You can do this even if the hips are not lifted. Separate the feet a little, circle ankles, wiggle the toes. Notice what's happening here. If you especially if you have a prop under your hips, you might need to walk your shoulders up away from the hips a little more to allow for that length to be created in the back. And then just bring the feet together. I've got my hands, my palms resting on my quads. I'm just allowing my feet to stay lifted, using gravity to assist circulation. We worked our feet pretty hard with those seated toe stands and with our standing balances and high lunge. So we're just letting it reset a little bit. And then again, if the hips are lifted, you might need to slide the block a little bit more towards the tailbone. If your hips are on the earth, no problem. We're all bringing knees into chest. And once again, my shoulder blades need to walk to create more space. This is our goal here. We start with space with the supported bridge. We add space when we lift the feet. We've now reached, for me, maximum space as I slide my shoulders away from my hips and allow for the length of the low back. And you can hold your hands on your knees, but you really don't need to if you have a support. I like to just let my hands reach out. About a minute here. And if you're not using a block under your hips and you're in knees to chest pose and your mind just started to say, well, but what's next? This is a go through pose, not a be in pose. Sorry guys, it really is a be in pose. It's used as a go through. That's what I call them, go through and be in, right? We go through knees to chest in order to get someplace else. But today, give yourself permission to simply be in Uttanasana, knees to chest pose. One more nice deep breath in and a long breath out. And then we will put the right foot back down on the earth and the left foot back down on the earth. And if you've got a prop, lift it and slide it out. And then reset the hips down and pause. All right, we're going to take a twist. You can keep the feet planted and tilt the knees to the right. You can draw the knees into the chest and bring the knees to the right. Or you can reach the right leg out and take the left knee across. This is the deepest option here, the single leg twist. And my body is not wanting it today, so I will do knees to chest. I love this twist. Maybe your left ear starts to come down towards the mat. You're looking away from the twisted knees. Take your version of twist here. You really want to keep the left shoulder anchored. So if your body is lifting and arching up in order to get the knees down in your twist, you need to reset that shoulder and maybe bring a prop, a blanket or a block under the knees, or shift down to a slightly different version of the twist. Because when the shoulder comes up, you've lost the top part of the anchor and you're not as deep in the twist as you ought to be. One more breath. And we'll go up and over to the opposite side. Take your time getting there. Keep that right shoulder anchored down. You might notice a little snap, crackle, pop. You might also notice that it's easier to twist on one side than the other. I've said it before, I will say it again. Our bodies appear symmetrical. 2 eyes, right? 2 ears, 2 hips, 2 arms. And they're balanced on each side of the body, but they don't function the same. You can injure your right hip and not your left, and it's going to change how your body moves through certain shapes, through certain planes. So we usually have a side that there's more ease than the other. Just identifying that. And we'll release back up to center, bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. Always the option to bring a prop under the knees if you like. Not ever necessary. If you want a little more support, you can always make 2 fists and prop them right where the outside of the thigh is connecting up to the hip, just to make a nice little shelf there. I love morning voice, so fun. And then we're actually going to be here for about 1.5 minutes. If you don't need that much Baddha Konasana today and you want to shift into a different stretch, please feel free. About 4 or 5 more breaths right here. Just letting the knees get heavy and allowing the hips to unfold. And then we'll push the soles of the feet together, actively engage, hands outside knees, just gently guide them back up and in. And we'll walk the feet wide, knees together. Find that sort of perfectly balanced state where you don't need any muscles to be in this shape. You can let the whole body really relax and rest in here for a moment. We'll release the knees, walk the feet back in, and find our way to happy baby. Your version today. Knees down, feet up. I really like peace fingers, hooking the big toes. You might rock a little side to side, find soft movement to start, and then see if you can't find a few breaths of stillness Shoulder blades down heavy into the earth. Coming to check on you. Nice. Three more breaths. See if you can't relax something, release just a tiny bit more. And then start to make your way back out of the shape, stretching the feet out long. Maybe the hands come up overhead if that's okay for your shoulders. Maybe they reach out wide. Take a full body stretch. Lift the heart, yawn, stretch, reach, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Exhale and start to find your way into your final resting shape. If there's one more stretch that you just need today, please take it first. You got a minute before I will cue you into Shavasana. And if you have any particular way that you like to set up for Shavasana, legs at the wall or feet on the couch, if you want to grab a blanket so you can wrap yourself up, always a good option. And if you like music for Shavasana, please grab your phone and turn on a playlist. And if you ever want access to mine, they're all on Spotify. I can get you the link. But it's time to rest, my loves. It's time to process. It's time for a little softness. If you're in a stretch on one side of the body, then switch. If you're already in Shavasana, stay right where you are. It's perfect. Returning to your breath, the anchor. And also embracing this part of the journey. Rest is part of the journey. It's part of the process. Slowing down the breath. If you have a hard time slowing down your mind, you might try counting a box breath. Count in 4, retain the breath 4, exhale 4, hold empty for 4. It gives your mind something to focus on, and it will help shift your body out of fight or flight mode into the parasympathetic nervous system, which says everything is just fine. Your breath is the key to telling your mind and your body that you're fine. Everything's okay. Welcome to Shavasana. Gently coming back to the breath and easing back into your body. Gently easing back. Whatever movement you need is going to wait about another 30 seconds. It's just you and your breath. Keeping your focus there, feeling the whole body expand and contract. Starting to deepen the breath just a little bit. Do that first. And then start to ride the wave of breath back to movement. What stretches do you do first thing in the morning? When you've just woken up, when you're just beginning to move, how do you move? Move like that here. With love for yourself, embracing this part of the journey too. None of us are getting any younger. Learning how to be in this body today. It's part of the ride. You got about a minute to move. Maybe you turn to one side, draw the knees to the chest. If you're a rock and roller, you're gonna wait. You got a little time, but slowly, with ease, with mindfulness and intention, come back to a seated shape. One that feels good in your body. It allows you to feel the breath. Hand on heart, hand on belly. We're just breathing. Bring the palms of the hands together at the center of the forehead, ajna, the third eye, for clarity of thought. To the chin, vishuddha, the throat chakra, for thoughtfulness in our speech. And to anahata, the heart center, for consistency in our actions. The divine light within me bows humbly to the divine light within you all. Thank you so much for sharing practice with me today. I hope you're a little bit warm. Namaste.